Hey everybody, KC here. So I'm in Chicago at the second Dom's Kitchen and Market that has been opened in the city. This is the 27,000 square foot store opened in a location that used to be occupied by Plum Market in the Old Town section of Chicago. Now, Bob Mariano is the person who's probably best known, who's leading this enterprise. And you can see a lot of the Mariano's lineage here. In some ways, he's trying to do the same thing that he was doing at Mariano's before he sold it to Kroger, but he's doing it on a smaller scale. There's a lot of food service here, a lot of prepared foods. You can see behind me there's a coffee bar. People have been lining up here all morning to get coffee. It's this side of the store where they have fresh food, they have sandwiches, burgers, pizzas, sushi, those kinds of things. At the other side of the store, they have meat, seafood, fresh produce, and in between there is center store. And it's interesting, I have to be honest. I mean, Mariano's, from the very first time I saw it, I didn't really couldn't figure out what the economics of it and if they were going to work, because they were really strong on fresh food on the perimeter, but then when you got into the center store, they were talking about cheap groceries. They were trying to make it really, really affordable, and they never seemed to get the balance right in a way that was going to be sustainable. Now, they're not trying to do the same thing in terms of having cheap groceries here in this store, although they seem reasonable. It's a cut-down grocery selection. It seems to be edited to a certain degree, with a little bit of an emphasis on specialty food, but not necessarily. It's not like you're finding a ton of specialty olive oils in the olive oil section. The clientele here is very, very young for the most part. There are a lot of young people here hanging out in the coffee bar, talking, things like that. From what I can tell in terms of the store, there's also most of the shopping seems to be small baskets, right? People are not buying a ton, big shopping carts full of food. So the tickets are probably going to be relatively low, so they're going to depend on people coming back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. That's what they're going to need to do. Now, their plan is to have 15 of these open by the end of 2025. Remains to be seen, in my view, whether or not this is scalable. I think it's a really, really interesting store. People have started calling it the next generation of supermarket. They're not doing anything here that hasn't been already done by Dorothy Lane Market or Bristol Farms or Westbourne Market or Zupan's or Metropolitan Market, right? So it's not like they're doing, plowing all sorts of new ground, but it's very, very interesting. I like the idea that it's young, I like the idea that it's urban, and I like the idea that it's very, very food-centric. There is one question I would raise about the food centricity, though, and I'll put a picture of this below. So they have on a steam table all these prepared, rotisserie chickens in a bag, ready to take out. But they were sitting there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they had an expiration date of April 2nd. And I found myself thinking, I don't know how long these have been here. Were they cooked yesterday? Were they cooked the day before? How did the expiration date work? That sort of works against the fresh food. It doesn't seem like it's as fresh as it really could be. Listen, I think it's a great format. It's going to be a community center. You see that's going to work, but I do think it remains to be seen whether it's scalable long term. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning, and as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.